Hi, my name is Ruthie Robbins, and I serve on staff at our Spotsy campus as our Next Steps Director. I'm so glad that you tuned in today for our Lunch and Learn. This is just going to be a quick teaching on what it means to develop leaders. Maybe you've sat through teachings, you've read books, you've listened to podcasts about what it means to develop leaders. Well, let's first talk about what it is not. It is not just about assigning tasks or delegating or getting rid of responsibilities that you don't really like doing. It's also not just recreating who you are. Developing leaders is really about investing in others to help them be the best version that God has created them to be. Not to be a duplicate or a carbon copy of you, but it is our responsibility as leaders to help those around us be the best versions of themselves. I can't think of a better example than of parenting. So I don't know if you know, but I have 4 sons. And while some of them look a little bit like Chris and I, some of them act a little bit like us, they have some of our personality characteristics, some of them like to do the same things we like to do, they are definitely not carbon copies of us. It can be tempting as a parent to want to live vicariously through your kids and get them to do all the same things that you did in high school, or maybe get them to do things you didn't experience, or we're getting to the point where our kids are going to college, so maybe you want them to go to the college that you did or go into the same career field that you did. Whatever it is, it can be very tempting to coach them, lead them to just be just like you. Or maybe you've got kids at home and you're hoping they'll do all the chores at home. Newsflash, if you have teenagers, that is not going to happen without a really detailed list. But that isn't developing them necessarily just to get them to do things so that your house is cleaner or that they go to a prestigious college. I would say that when you are developing them, you are building characteristics in them that they can carry throughout a lifetime. So let's use the chores for an example. So I want my kids to help with chores at home, of course, because I don't think it's Chris and I's responsibility to do everything at home. But it's not just about getting the floors clean and the dishes done. I'm teaching them to be responsible, to care for the things they've been given, to be a part of a team, and so on and so forth. But I can have in my mind, I just want to get these things done. But that's not really what coaching and development is all about. Ultimately, the end goal is to make them great humans who love the Lord, who have great character, who are able to stand on their own 2 feet and use the God given gifts that He has given them. So, with this in mind, developing leaders is about investing in them to be the best versions of themselves. So, I love good analogy. I've given you a picture of parenting. I'm going to give you a second picture, and this is of a train. So on a train is on tracks, and those 2 tracks are, we're going to look at character and competency. The train is the person that you're developing, and what is going to fuel them is feedback or coaching. Okay? Tracking with me? See what I did there? I have one kid who loves to tell jokes, and he's a lot better at it than I am, thankfully. So, the train. This is our analogy we're going to use for developing leaders. The tracks are character and competency. These are the things we're going to focus on as we're coaching someone. I'm going to use those words coaching and developing interchangeably, all right? The train engine is the person that you're developing, and the fuel that is going to keep them moving along on those tracks is feedback and coaching. Okay? I want you to think about that as we talk about this process. And see what I did there? It is a process. It is not a one and done. I went to a conference or we met one time for a one-to-one and now I've developed them. Nah, I wish. Again, like parenting, it doesn't work that way. There's no quick, instantaneous thing you can do or say to develop someone. It's a process, because as we're each learning, growing, developing, it takes time. It takes time. And also, if you're coming into a new spot, leading someone on a new team, on a new campus, maybe your kids are going into a new season of life, or you've come to a new job, it is going to take time to build those relationships. And it might not feel like that you're developing someone right away because you don't even know them. You're not sure what they're interested in, what their personality is, what their passions, burdens are, their unique wirings. Are they an introvert or extrovert? You might not even know that yet because you haven't spent a lot of time with them. So that's where I would encourage you to start. Every person that you lead or you have influence over, if your aim is to develop them, the first you want to spend some time with them, get to know them, find out what makes them tick, what burdens them, what kind of passions do they have, what are their giftings and abilities. Find out those things about them. What are struggles that they have? Those are areas that maybe you can focus your development on. What is their spiritual walk like? Where's their faith? What kind of things is the Lord telling them right now? What does their devotion time, their prayer time look like? These are all questions that you can ask in your time with someone. Sounds like a lot of questions, right? Again, this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And it's going to take several coffee dates. Maybe you go do their favorite activity. Maybe you go have lunch, invite them over for dinner. Whatever it is, spend time with them. Start to ask deeper and deeper questions so you can get to know them. Because, as we talked about in the beginning, this is not about creating another you. Maybe that's what you think you need. I just need someone that can do exactly what I do. Now, while that would be great, as a leader, your responsibility is to help that person grow. God has given them unique gifts and talents, and it's your responsibility to begin to mine some of that and help them figure out how they can be the best version of themselves. Well, if you're getting discouraged, if maybe you've been spending time with someone, it just doesn't seem to be working, try something new. Don't give up. Paul says in Galatians 6:9 to not give up. He says, do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest. God promises that the things he's put in front of us to do, to care for the people, that we will reap a harvest. This was a verse I used over and over. Actually, I have it tattooed on my arm when I was homeschooling, because investing in my kids, developing their character, teaching them, growing in their competencies, it's hard. And some days it doesn't feel like it's doing any good. But the Bible reminds us to not give up. If it doesn't look good yet, God's not done. You've heard that phrase, but it is so very true. So when you're spending time with people, you're investing in them, getting to know them, developing them. Do not give up, because at the proper time, you will reap a harvest.